to infinity and beyond.
Everybody, it's Roger and James here from Infinity and Beyond, presented by DisKingdom and DisGaming.com. In this episode, we're going to be just kind of discussing a little bit, sort of chinwag, about the D23 Expo. Earlier in this week, James has already told us about the level up and all the bits and pieces, but I just thought, well, you know, he was there at the event and lots of stuff was coming out of it, and just kind of get his general view, really, of what was the, in general, sort of, from the overview of the D23 Expo.
Once you were in the D23 Expo, or once you were in the panels, level up, animation, live action, whatever, it was great. It was fantastic. The announcements were fantastic. The things that you could do at the booths were great. There was a lot of different things to do there. You could do shopping. You could, jump in the ball pit for the DuckTales and pretend you're Ebenezer Scrooge swimming through his money. That said, all the other parts sucked so bad. The lines were awful. The queues were terrible. The management was just all over the place. Nobody knew what the heck was going on. There was a situation where if you went to the Marvel booth, they were doing signings, giveaways throughout the day for Marvel. One of them was the guy who played Yondu in the movies came and signed some posters and stuff. And if you wanted to do that, you had to get a little wristband. They were giving the wristbands between 9 and 9:30 a.m. one of the mornings. They were gone by 9:05. Everybody else who was in line was just like, nope, go home. You're done. He's not doing anymore. And it's like, wow, okay. And then, there were situations like at the animation panel where an entire section that had been waiting for literally hours was told, so a bunch of guys just ran through the main door and took seats, and we can't get rid of them, so we don't have seats for you anymore.
Wasn't there a big rush, and they all just piled in? And they
a whole bunch of people
just ran through hundreds of people.
I didn't hear about it until after the fact. I made it into that panel with no problems whatsoever, but they did get compensated for it. Yeah. They got bans for another panel. They were given 2-day passes to the parks to be used over the course of whenever they wanted and stuff like that. So it's not like Disney was just like, oh, too bad, so sad. Yeah. But at the same time, that was so typical of the weekend in general, where it's just like, we didn't expect that these 65,000 people were actually going to want to do things at the con.
Yeah, I mean, I saw pictures of people sleeping out, especially for like the parks, for the live action panel.
The live action one filled up at before 5 a.m. On Saturday. I got there super early on Saturday. It was kind of like, I didn't really expect to get into it, but it was kind of like, we're here. It's 7 o'clock in the morning, 7:30 in the morning. We go up. Oh no, that's empty. You can't go in. I'm like, oh, okay then. As it turned out, I don't feel like I really missed anything at the live action panel, because almost all of that ended up getting released anyway. I did go to the animation panel, which was great, and I walked into the Alan Menken concert, the first one, because they did 2 of those. Literally, I was with my friend, and we're just like, you know what? It's in like 5 minutes. Yeah, whatever. We're not doing anything else. Let's just walk over and see. Fully expecting to be like told, come back at 5:30 for the next one. We just walked in, had great seats, and it was a fantastic panel. But
did you have the same issue with the level up? Was it difficult getting into that?
Level up, I actually got a little bit lucky. They were giving stage passes out for that, which are like the fast passes, but for and I think they were giving out the stage passes while the live action panel was going on, so half the floor was empty, and I just walked up, 10 minutes in line with a stage pass. Oh yeah, I'd like a stage pass for the level up. I'm like, here you go. But if I didn't have that, I think it would have been a worse experience. I think they didn't fill up the theater, but I think that they hadn't planned on using some of the wings anyway, so I'm not sure if people got turned away from that one or not, but if you were there an hour early, you got in.
It's not, because that's sometimes the thing of like, it's all like, I did wonder, like that thing where it's all very fine. I go like lining up for 8 hours. I know Abe, who used to do this podcast. He literally was there like 2 o'clock in the morning to get into the live action panel and stuff. He pretty much, I think there was like no sleep crew where him and Disney Nerd just basically I don't think they slept because people were sleeping out for the queue to get in, but then at which point then you're going, well, you're not actually then able to sort of enjoy the rest of the event because you just stand in line.
You really do have to choose at this event, as well as you do at like the major comic conventions. This is true at San Diego as well, where you just kind of have to go, either I'm going to experience the floor or I'm going to experience the panels, and I'm really not going to get to do both, not if I want to do a lot of panels. I wish I had known Abe was there. I would have definitely gone and said hi to him. I only met up with Disney Dan and Pirate Steve, one of the old Disney Toy Box artists, and Rob from CoinOp TV. But it was great meeting up with all of them. They were having a great time, Disney Dan and Steve. I think they got into the Parks panel. Yeah. And also, apparently, they were actually broadcasting the Parks panel on the
I was watching them
TV monitors in the queue. Yeah. No, I think they were actually like an official stream, but it was down in the queue area. The cool thing about the Parks panel was, of course, they gave out passes to see the new updated Fantasmic at Disneyland, which I had never seen before. And my friend got 2 passes, and so I was able to actually go to the Fantasmic my last night there, and it was awesome. Cool. A lot of the people who have seen both the previous version and the new version said that some things were better and some things were worse. I have no point of comparison except for the Disney World version of it. But it was great. There's one part where a giant pirate ship, like a literal pirate ship, it's not a projection, it's the pirate ship, comes out of the fog, and it was maybe 10 feet in front of me, and I'm just looking up like, and you get that sense of like what a 17th century sailor would have felt like with a pirate ship coming down on your little, Corvette or whatever, and not the car, the ship, obviously.
Did you get into the park for a day or two before?
Actually, I went 2 days before. The first day I had a flight delay, so I only got to be there for a little bit. But I did get to do the Guardians of the Galaxy mission Breakout. I did it twice, and it's significantly better than the Tower of Terror as an experience. Although I did get more nauseous on it than I did on the Tower of Terror, which is to say I got nauseous at all, because the original Tower of Terror I never felt it.
When did you last do the Tower of Terror?
January.
Oh, well, that's different. I know if I wanted to be like, you haven't been on it for 5 years, I'm just getting old.
It was April. It was for the Dark Side run. But but it was really cool because, the original Tower of Terror, you go up, you go down, you go up, down, whatever the pattern is. But when you're in there, there's nothing going on. You're just going up, down, and then you get a view of the park at the top. This one, you enter in, and I'm not going to spoil too much of it for people who haven't experienced and they want to do it. But Rocket is there, and he's narrating, and he plugs in, Peter Quill's
mixtape
Walkman, so you got the tunes going. And it was different tunes both times, so they do have that randomized.
6 of them, I think there is.
That's probably. I only did it twice, but it was definitely different both times. You immediately go up, and then you immediately go down, and then on the way down you pass a video screen, and you hang at that video screen, and you see the Guardians and some other stuff going on, and then it'll throw you up or down again, and then there's another video screen, and then you actually see it like 3 or 4 times, and you get a progressive story, which was different both of the times I did it. And then you get to the top, and you see Disneyland, and Rocket's like, "Oh, hey, is that Disneyland?" Like, okay, that's actually kind of funny. And then, it's the same ride, but it actually holds you at a couple of places. And I think that might actually be a negative, because my stomach was kind of doing this, what's going on? So it's an improvement. And, I'm a huge Twilight Zone fan, so I am sad to see the Tower of Terror go. But Mission Breakout is very good, and I think that anyone who likes the ride will still enjoy the ride.
There was a couple of images went out from Pirate Steven put out from the launch bay, because apparently they had the old Disney Infinity display in the launch bay, and because they were playing Lego Star Wars on it, all they did was they took the figures off and they put little Lego figures on, because there was a little bit of an uproar on Twitter. The following Pirate, I think, had to go over and tell them about it, and the next day they'd taken half of them away or something. I can't speak to that, because I didn't know about this little Twitter bit, but I did go to the launch bay, and I did remember seeing like, oh, it's Legos, and some of the Legos had like fallen over. Like Chirrut from one of the Rogue One sets was just like on his side, and like okay. And there was one. It's the end of the movie.
It's the end of the movie. There you go. And there was one Xbox playing Disney Infinity, and I think it had like Rey and Ahsoka in it. But maybe they went and changed it. for the later day, but it was definitely all Lego.
Yeah, I mean,
They-
even like John Bernacci got involved. There was his fiance was involved. There was so much discussion going on about this picture of like just Lego just sat on these Infinity ones. It was just like, yeah, that sounds. That was like, yeah, don't need to rub it in anymore.
It's actually better than the one at Walt Disney. I can't speak to it now because it's been a couple months, but when I went to the Walt Disney one, it wasn't even like Lego sets. It was just like a minifigure just sitting there. You're like, come on, you can do better than that. This one at least had sets. You know, there was, the tank from Rogue One and a couple other things. But yeah, the launch bay in general was pretty cool. They're still showing the Rogue One stuff. Obviously, nothing has changed over to Last Jedi yet, but. I was kind of hoping there'd be a little more Last Jedi at D23, but
so you mentioned earlier that they Marvel had a booth there for all the video games and stuff. Disney and Star Wars didn't. Was there any other things like gaming, little booths or anything for some of the mobile games?
Now the mobile games were actually with the Marvel stuff. So Future Fight and Puzzle Quest were over there, but they were sandwiched in between Marvel vs. Capcom and Marvel Heroes Omega, and there were a couple of other, not necessarily video game things, but, like interactive toys. Yeah. Like Sphero had the new Spider-Man thing, and there was a giant one which you could get a picture with and had the eyes and stuff. But yeah, for the most part, the video games were just right next to the Marvel booth. There was almost never a line longer than like 5-10 minutes to go and see them. Even the Lego one where they were giving away Legos, like actual physical Legos. The Marvel vs. Capcom had some posters they gave away. Unfortunately, I didn't get any of those. Future Fight had some posters. I did get those. But they weren't giving away any in-game stuff. I would have been totally like, I haven't played the game in forever, but you want to give me a free character? Here we go. Cool.
No, it definitely was like an odd thing because obviously, I mean, there was this like little bit of, I think, especially like on my Twitter feed, the Toy Box artists that went last time, and it was such a big event for Disney Infinity that this year was a little bit like, okay, it's not quite what it was. I mean, I'm just glad they live streamed it and they did do the presentation. I mean, they had those two presenters on, and I've had, you had comments coming through, obviously the fans of them know who they are, but to everybody else, like, who?
Yeah, I mean, in fairness to both of them, their target audience is obviously about 20 years younger than I am, so that's fair. I'd never heard of them, but they have a massive fan base between them, multiple millions of people, so they're not unknown people. They're just not. Yeah, but we're not the target audience for them, so obviously, we don't know who they are. But, that is important, though, because Disney needs to make sure that they're reaching out to the younger audience, and Kingdom Hearts might be a slightly older audience,
but they got to get a new generation.
But they're going to get a new generation. Plus, they got 1.5, 2.5, 2.8 all out to get you that full experience, so that if you grew up with Kingdom Hearts, you can now get your 10-year-old obsessed with the emo adventures of Sora.
I mean, definitely becoming more common now to use, like, especially at gaming events, to use YouTubers to do the presenting rather than just a guy in a suit kind of thing. So, like, on the booth, did you see much like merchandise Kingdom Hearts wise around?
Not so much merchandise. There were plenty of cosplayers. Yeah. Lots of cosplayers, lots of Keyblades. There was one guy who was dressed up as a Jedi who actually had like a Keyblade that housed his lightsaber or connected to his lightsaber, which was pretty cool. I think there were a couple of like maybe jewelry items, very small jewelry item like Keyblades and stuff. But for the most part, in terms of merchandise, I suspect they're waiting until next year until the game actually releases.
They did announce a few things during the event, some new toys and stuff.
Right.
I have actually pre-ordered a from Square Enix, a Kingdom Hearts 3 Sora figure. I've never, it's like a £70 figure. I've actually pre-ordered one. It's like, so that will definitely be there. I did actually get myself a little Kingdom Hearts Heartless soft plush as well.
Oh, recently. Nice. Those things are actually kind of cute.
I kept seeing it on the in the background on when they're doing the video, when they're doing the news, and I was like, I like that. I'll get that. But also kind of sort of, I know there was a meet up with the Kingdom Hearts 13. KH13, they were doing a bit of a fan get together, and quite a few people were there. So that was there was a lot of buzz around Kingdom Hearts at the event. Obviously, the parks panel. Oh, Karen.
No, I was going to say, I think, it's very important to clarify one thing, though, is that Kingdom Hearts is huge among the video game community.
Yeah.
And not just Disney fans in general, but just gaming in general. Kingdom Hearts is a huge franchise. Disney is aware of that fact. However, if you're talking to the majority of just Disney fans, most of them have no idea what Kingdom Hearts is. They might be aware it exists. They might be aware that Mickey's in it, that Goofy's in it, but they don't know anything about it. And it was actually very interesting to see people being like, oh, what is that costume? Oh, this is Sora. It's like, who's Sora?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the Kingdom Hearts. And it's like, oh, what's Kingdom Hearts? And you're just like, no, don't ask them what Kingdom Hearts is. You are going to miss every panel now.
Yeah. The thing is, what was I do think was kind of, in some ways with Kingdom Hearts, is that you've got to, I think there was like a generation, and probably, we've said before, we were older at that point when the game came out, and it caught a whole generation of Disney fans as being the number one game that kind of kept the Disney thing going, and, they grew up with it, and, the PlayStation 2 era being what we would probably refer to as like our Super Nintendo NES era. For us, like Aladdin and Jungle Book, for them is Kingdom Hearts, and there is that nostalgic from the 20-somethings that have got fit, whereas we're a little bit older where we didn't have that. But I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to do that. But it was just kind of quite cool to see. It definitely got the most amount of coverage from like the media in the last few days. A lot of it has been about Kingdom Hearts. The main thing coming out of the D23 from the gaming side was Kingdom Hearts. The Marvel stuff very much just...
Yeah, Marvel... they're saving it for San Diego.
Yeah.
That's where the Marvel stuff's really going to come out. But yeah, no, let's go ahead. We've talked plenty about Kingdom Hearts. There's the earlier podcast if you guys want to hear more about Kingdom Hearts 3. So
you went to the animation panel as well.
I did.
They announced quite a few different movies. The only one I can think of was Cars in Space. I think that's about the only, was that about the only one?
Well, they had Cars in Space, which I will grant you, we had the first two Planes movies. They were kind of very kiddie. These two, the trailer we got for Cars in Space, if you took the eyes out of the cockpits, you could totally just sell this as a straight up aviation movie with regular pilots and everything. So
they've only literally put out one picture of some space. They've not released anything from that one, so not really. So that's definitely different.
We did actually get a trailer for it at the convention. There wasn't really much in the trailer. The planes don't talk, but you could hear them. All three of the planes. There were two F-22s and one SR-71 Blackbird. The F-22s come in and they're breaking the sound barrier, and the sound system in the hall, because this was in Hall D23, was just vibrating. Everything. It was immense. You could see people jumping out of their seats, and then the SR-71 comes out and it starts going into space, and it's like, oh yeah, this looks awesome. I don't care what the story is. I'm just going to watch it for the visuals. If the story sucks, I'm just going to turn the sound off and watch.
Yeah. Because they definitely, you look at, especially the animation fan, and you kind of go, right, game, tie-in, day. You definitely can see that.
So they announced that, and then they also announced an untitled project, which is a modern fantasy...
Oh, Trolls or something.
Yeah, there's no name for it, so we don't know what it is, but it's about two brothers who are off on a quest to find out more about their dad who died when they were very young, and it's set in a modern era. Magic exists, but magic is so complicated that no one has bothered to learn how to use it. Now, everything magic can do, we can do, or these people can do, with technology. So why bother learning magic if all I have to do to start a fire is, light a match or whatever?
Yeah.
We don't know anything more about it. We do know it's a highly personal project for the director because he was talking about how he and his brother never knew their dad. He died when they were 3 and 1. And they found an audio recording of him when they were growing up, and it was literally just the dad saying hello and then goodbye, and that was it. It wasn't to them. That's just what was in the recording, and that's the only recording they have of his voice at all whatsoever. And so to you and I, it's okay, he said hello and goodbye, but to them it's like
everything.
That was everything. So and that's what he is trying to channel into this movie. We'll get more details as we get closer to it. Obviously, no title, no release date. I think they said 2019 or 2020. Also, I think they said that there are no humans in this world.
Yeah.
So we're looking at trolls, elves, orcs, goblins, etc., but no humans.
It's just Justin Timberlake in him with a set. Also, I was just like trying to think what else to kind of. Did you get to just walk around the did you did on Sunday? Did you just go for a walk around without having to worry about the panel so much?
I did. I did go to the Alan Menken panel, which was on Sunday. But other than that, I did walk around. I actually went to some of the stores. I went to the Dream store. I went to the Disney store. I actually got this shirt here, Ahsoka. I went to Mickey of Glendale's because my friend wanted to go to it, and I was just like, this. I'm actually very unimpressed with the Mickey of Glendale store.
Yeah,
but
I heard. Pete from the Diz really complaining about it was just like a load of stuff that they had on sale that they were just clearing out basically.
What I would have said is they really needed to show what was on sale somewhere, like a sign that you could see outside, so it wasn't a surprise because there were people who stood in line for that for literally 3 or more hours, and then they'd get inside and be like, "There's nothing here I want." No. I just wasted 3 hours to look at products I have no interest in.
Yeah.
And I think they could have prevented people from waiting in a really long line who didn't want to, and then also making the line shorter for the people who did actually want to go into it.
Yeah.
There were other shops, of course. I'm going to mispronounce this. Uniqlo, the Japanese, which is apparently has a partnership with Disney. They've got some cool shirts. Funko was there. They were selling the Disney treasure boxes, the 2 that have come out, plus you could get a subscription to the new one. The Sum guys were there. They had an exclusive. Actually, that was really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a big Sum guy, but that was really cool because it was in the plane that they've got, and it's got all 4 of them. They had the Pixar collection as well, which had 8 Sums from their shorts, For the Birds, Presto, Bounden, and Piper. There was another set. I don't remember which one that one was. And then, of course, there was the vendor section, which was where people were selling, Disney pins for $2, or you could get old memorabilia. I saw there was one store that was selling park maps from 1965 or something for $5 a pop. I'm like, that's kind of cool, but I'll keep my money. Old posters. Bowls, glasses, all this old stuff that you just can't find anywhere anymore because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw quite a few booths, for websites as well. I think Mice Chat. I know the Diz had one. I think there was a few different ones. It was good for me for being able to watch some footage coming in live from the floor. It definitely sounds like it was an interesting event overall.
It was. I think, like I said at the very beginning of this, once you got onto the floor, it was great. There was a lot to do. There were a lot of things to see. The Marvel booth was really cool, always packed. And there was one time when they actually blocked off an entire passageway because of the Marvel booth, which honestly was really not good because it meant you couldn't get to the other side of the hall. But yeah, there was plenty to do, plenty to see.
Booth.
It was terrible.
I didn't, to be honest, I haven't seen anything of the Marvel. It was all about the Star Wars Land model. But the thing is with that Marvel one, is they had Thanos with these 4 characters all with drapes over them for the first couple of days.
Right.
Of course, the internet just went nuts and going, "It's Fantastic Four. They've made a deal. They're under there. It's a figure." And then it was these 4 characters which nobody knows who they are. Unless you're a real die-hard Marvel fan, and it didn't get. I know you would, but all the other but it didn't get any of the press. I saw more pictures of them draped over than of them afterwards.
That was one of those things. I was looking at those, and my friend is not a huge Marvel fan, and I'm talking to them, and they're just I have no idea who these guys are. I don't even know who the purple guy is. And that's Thanos. He's been in 3 of the movies so far. Oh yeah.
Well, if you don't stay to the end, you don't see him.
Well, except Guardians of the Galaxy. He is in the first Guardians. I thought the bigger deal for me was they had some of the costumes up there. They had the Black Panther costume. They had Thor Ragnarok costume. And then obviously they had signings throughout the day, which were managed terribly.
Oh, yeah.
Marvel did a absolutely terrible job of managing their booth.
Well, hopefully the people at San Diego get a better run because they've had a bit of a test run on the Disney fans.
Well, hopefully at San Diego they'll have a booth that's more publicly accessible, because this booth only had like 2 entrances. It's not like one of those open air booths that you're maybe more familiar with. This one was like, you start here, you walk through here, you see the statues, you see the costumes, and you walk out here. That was it. There was no other way of getting into it, and that was the only thing. Now, I will say this: in a different section of the hall, there was a really cool thing that they were doing. It was a Marvel bit. It was a green screen, and you could go in front of the green screen, and you could put on Hulk gloves or whatever you wanted, and you could like. And they would have you do like you're entering into something, and you'd be like, "Rah, rah, rah," and then they would splice you into the Thor trailer. Yeah. So it'd be you entering, and you'd have like the crowd behind you, and and you'd have the crowd behind you, and you're like busting through the doors, and then Thor reacting to you is like, "Yeah," and you're like, "All right, that was kind of cool. They did a good job with that." No, there is not a video of me doing that, by the way. I did not stand in line. Sorry.
Yeah. So no, it sounds like you had a very good trip. It's definitely, it was an interesting week. It was an odd one because I mean, obviously like for me, like doing stuff and just, I mean, the parks panel. I mean, me and Victoria have talked quite a bit about that this week already. But there is that side of thing of Disney really need to kind of get the hand on this idea that they obviously want everyone to go out there and pay for it all. But this locking everything up. I mean, Disney letting everyone video it and Periscope it, but not live stream it themselves, felt like a massive missed opportunity.
Especially since they let us do it, or they live streamed the video game one. Now, obviously, that was in a different hall, but the capacity was there. There's no reason they couldn't have streamed it. And we know that they were streaming the parks panel down into the queue.
And they were recording it all as well. And there was some good video. I mean, the whole thing, I find the whole thing like with like the animation and the live action one of doing it behind closed doors so no one can see, because they're generally just images get out of bad things. But and then there was a big uproar from everyone going, "Look, why aren't you showing us this Infinity War trailer?" And I was a little bit like, okay, there was a lot of news coming out and everything would have been drowned out. It was like, if you'd done it on that day, you'd have had that week. A lot of the big Marvel fans have had leave San Diego Comic-Con for someone else, but I can't help it for they want to grab all the attention this weekend.
Oh yeah, I mean San Diego is where they're going to get the most attention for this stuff, so that's obviously their focus. I will say for the animation one, some of the trailers that they showed, some of the bits they showed were really cool, and I'm really hoping that they do release them. Yeah, I know that the Wreck-It Ralph 2 trailer or bit has caused some controversy online. I haven't read up on it. I haven't had a chance to get reacquainted with the internet since my week away from it. But
I mean, there's a lot of talk about all the princesses coming together, the Star Wars nods and stuff like that.
Those were great.
I think, as far as I'm concerned, I don't recall there being a lot.
Well, what I heard, which might be inaccurate, is that people didn't necessarily have a problem with the princesses. They had a problem with the "Oh My Disney." Yeah. Because Vanellope and Ralph are getting a tour, and like this section of the internet, "Oh My Disney," and you're like,
yeah, that's
really?
An ad. Yeah.
Really? Personally, I had actually not heard of Oh My Disney. I probably shouldn't admit that on a Disney podcast, but I'd actually never heard of it. So I was just kind of like,
I mean, they've contacted me a few times with like links for like cool stuff that they've done. So I am aware of it, and it's too young for me. The tone is not right for me personally.
It's definitely a teenager site.
Yeah, they do get some really good stuff on there. So, but again, it feels that that's bordering on advertising. The other thing as well that kind of got a little bit of people was a lot of people going, you do know this is a video game. These are video games. Right. Can we have some, all the little cameos and all the stuff, rather than going down this pop culture stuff? As the video game community is a bit like, you do know that's what we like. That was what we loved about this. And you kind of, they're going, well, that's known a little bit. But look, it's princesses.
In fairness, this is only 5 minutes out of the movie. I'm sure that there's going to be plenty of video game stuff. It's a video game movie franchise thing. we don't know what the rest of the movie
Yeah.
out. And this honestly doesn't feel like it's a major plot point. This is just kind of a sidetrack for them being like, here's the internet, here's the little Disney section of the internet. Here we're going to poke fun of ourselves a little bit. And it was genuinely hilarious. The princesses were funny as heck. My main issue with it is that if the princesses are self-aware, then Vanellope and Ralph should probably be self-aware too, but obviously it doesn't work if they are. I don't know. It's one of those dissonance things.
I think the thing is as well, is I think like the whole thing, like, you know, there's like Google and Amazon, but they're all play on words, whereas Oh My Disney's like, no, you're using the real name. That's slightly different. BuzzFeed.
In fairness, they own it.
Sorry?
In fairness, they own it.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
But there we go. We'd love to know what you guys thought of the D23 Expo as well. Love to know what you guys thought. Be sure to comment below. Get in touch with us on the different social medias. James, where can they find you?
HeroicLegacy.com.
And on that note, guys, thank you very much for watching and listening. And we'll see you guys soon. Later.
Later.